will now show you how you can avoid getting any of these diseases in the first place. If you have sexual intercourse, there are two things you must do. First, keep something between you and the germs of venereal disease by using a good rubber. Test it carefully.
Hello, everybody. Today, we're going to be looking at these Ultrex Platinum Prophylactics. When I bought these, there was a lot of mystery around how old they were. The listing said that they were World War II, but it doesn't really look in the style of like a military issue item, especially not for that time period. A lot of things online said they were from the 30s. There's even one website who kind of traces some of the history of like the Comstock Law and platinums and Ultrex Platinums and other condoms during like the 20s and 30s that has these listed as being from the 30s. But I don't know, the design doesn't look like 30s to me. To me, it looks like 50s. So it took a little bit of research, because there's not a lot of information around this brand or around the manufacturers. But I was able to find some information. First, let's take a look at them. So, it's Ultrex Platinum. It says press here, which is really a nice way to, let's see, pop them open. If you want to be real fancy with your date, bonk, pop that open. It says 3 for 50 cents. And then on the back here, it says Ultrex Platinum Prophylactics are tested on new modern equipment for your protection. Exclusively a drugstore item and aid in preventing venereal diseases. Manufactured by Dean Rubber Manufacturing Company, North Kansas City, Missouri. Made in USA, patent pending, blah, blah, blah. The tin was made by, it looks like Canco. So it says these things because in the early days of latex condoms, so many of them were defective. There was no real testing or quality control until the FDA came in and kind of took over that stuff. And then for the exclusively a drugstore item and aid in preventing venereal diseases, that's because of the Comstock Law, which basically made sending prophylactics of any kind over the mail illegal in the US. And then later on, a couple decades later, it was partially repealed. They basically said, okay, you can send prophylactics, but they're only for prevention of venereal diseases. They're not for, like, for actual prophylactic use, which is kind of silly and stupid, but it opened it up and it allowed this huge boom between the 20s and 30s of condoms through into the Great Depression. The Great Depression saw a huge boom of condom sales. It was cheaper to buy a condom than it was to raise a kid during the Great Depression, which makes a lot of sense. So, interestingly enough, they look the exact same, except they've got the little paper bands, but, otherwise, they look like condoms. I don't want to open them up because, they're old, this is original, this isn't something I have multiple of, so I don't want to pop them open, but they just look like latex condoms today. I believe these were unlubed, so that wasn't until later. So, basically, I'm thinking 50s for the date of these, but I was only able to find one post from a website that said they're a museum. I didn't look into them very much. And they said this brand was made post-war, late 1940s, early 1950s. So I kind of, okay, hey, that's confirming my theory, so I'm going to follow it. No, I also found some advertisements in some old magazines that I'll put up right now that say that this company, the Dean Rubber Manufacturing Company, their condoms that they advertised in the 30s were called Peacock condoms, not Ultrex Platinum. Chances are these are post-war, 1945 through to the early 1950s. I just thought it was cool, this is something that you definitely don't see people talk about. You don't talk to your grandparents or your great-grandparents, depending on how old you are, and say, hey, what kind of condoms did you use? That doesn't really happen, and a lot of people don't even think about prophylactics before, the 1960s, when the pill was released, and you had a lot of other options. But before that, you only had either condoms made of animal skin or intestines or stomach or whatever. And then end of the 1800s, early 1900s, you start getting these rubber condoms, and then you get the rubber cement condoms, and then you get the latex, and, nowadays you got all sorts of options. But I just think it's a interesting part of history that you don't really see a lot of. It was kind of hushed up a lot. Maybe, either it was taboo, or it was considered embarrassing, or, who knows, I wasn't there. But, yeah, I just think these are super cool. Sorry for the short video, but I appreciate you here, and I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.